Okay, I have my husband here as part of my video today. Why?
I just picked my nose when you were saying that.
Why would you do that?
Start again.
I'm totally putting it in the video. Okay, ready?
Go.
Today we're going to be talking about vegan pregnancy and just being vegan in general. We're going to talk about some common misconceptions, some fancy myths about being vegan, and really how it's been being vegan for
7.5 years.
And I've been vegan for almost 10 years now. And I am going through my 4th vegan pregnancy right now. Yay!
Okay, so what is vegan? Vegan is basically an all plant-based diet. It doesn't include any animal products whatsoever, so everything you eat had to grow from the ground. It's not at all difficult to get all your nutritional requirements from this kind of a diet. It's not difficult, it's very easy, and it's not expensive either. It can be expensive if you always shop at health stores and overpay for everything, but you can do it very affordably. First off, you want to make sure you get a lot of variety. Unfortunately, some people try it and they don't get enough variety. They'll only eat fruit or they'll only eat just one thing or another, and they develop a deficiency after a few months or a few years. It's always good to cover all your bases. It's not hard. Get a variety of grains, seeds, nuts. Leafy greens are always good. Fruits, vegetables. Use lots of herbs and spices and even oils if you need to. I would recommend not going too heavy on any kind of added oils, sugars, or salts, but use your imagination. There's lots of recipes and resources online, and these days there's so many vegans coming up that you can find somebody to talk to and get some recipes from them. There's also a lot of good vegan restaurants coming out, so you get some ideas, some inspiration, and yeah, just make sure you always get a lot of variety and you should be good. If you're pregnant, again, the focus of this video is pregnancy, it's always good to take a multivitamin. You can do it whether you're pregnant or not, but when you're pregnant, just to cover all your bases, whether you're a vegan or a meat eater or anything, always take a multivitamin just for your baby's sake to make sure they get what they need. And yeah, that's a good starting point.
Yeah, because even if you're not vegan, like there's always a chance you're deficient in something.
Yeah.
And I mean, after going vegan, I found my nutritional intake went up. You know, after I would...
your anemia went away.
My anemia went away, yeah.
Which is iron deficiency. Yeah. Funny enough, everyone always asks, where do you get your iron from?
Yeah.
The same place animals do, you get it from plants. But yeah, B12 is another one. I know that it's improving, but try to keep this short. B12 is something that's everywhere in nature, but because we over-sanitize our food, we strip off the B12. So B12 deficiency is not a failing of the vegan diet. It's, in a sense, it's a failing of modern agriculture, but we have to clean it because of what it all goes through. You don't want to get produce that everyone's touched and it's been all over the floor and everything. You want to wash it, but in the process you take off the B12. So B12, you just take a supplement. Either go pick your own food, forage it, grow it yourself, or just take a supplement. They're cheap, they're easy to get, and it covers your butt in that area. B12 is also something that a lot of meat eaters can develop. Some stats say up to a third.
Deficiency, you mean?
Yeah, B12 deficiency. Yeah. Some say up to a third of meat eaters are still deficient in B12. They don't have optimal levels. So B12 supplements always, again, it's cheap, easy to take, and it's a good thing to do.
Now it's funny that during certain points in a couple of my pregnancies, I was not on any supplementation. I remember even with my last pregnancy, I wasn't taking anything for a period of time. And I was still not deficient in anything. I was not taking a B12 supplement. I'm not recommending not taking supplements. I highly recommend them. But there were periods where I was not deficient in anything. One of my biggest worries too, which a lot of people worry about, is vitamin K during pregnancy and for breastfeeding. So I had myself tested for that, and my K levels were really, really good, really high. And we just found that it was because I was getting a very good intake of dark leafy greens, lots of greens, which are very high in vitamin K.
They always keep lots of leafy greens in your diet every day. Whether you put them in salads, smoothies, you boil them, however you do it, just make sure you get lots. Some of the best are kale, collards, Swiss chard. Again, you can get the stuff at a grocery store, it's not expensive. But make sure you get a lot, just as much as you can physically handle. And your tolerance will go up the more you eat it, but yeah.
Yeah, so the biggest worry for everyone going vegan or, you know, changing diets in general is, are you getting the proper nutrition? Because not just for your body, but once you get pregnant, it's like a whole new level, right? Now you're taking care of 2 bodies. So making sure you're getting everything you need for yourself and for your growing baby is so important. So you're going to get a lot of questions from everyone, from everywhere. So going into being vegan, of course, you have to do your research, and you want to feel like you're prepared and you know, because at least for us, when we went vegan, we didn't know any other vegans. I don't think we knew anybody.
Well, your cousin, but we never talked to them. Mary and Anthony.
Oh, my cousin. Yeah, okay. So I had a cousin that was vegan, but yeah, we never talked to them. So yeah, we didn't know a whole lot. We did it for ethical reasons, and eventually it turned into health reasons as well. And then we were vegan for so long that once I got pregnant, I knew I was not going to change my diet. I knew that I was, I was super... Are you okay? What's wrong?
No, Joe's not listening to me.
Why is he not listening?
I'm sorry.
Because he's not going up the mountain for Minnesota game.
Okay, you know what? Go downstairs and tell him Daddy's gonna come help, okay? So, since I've already been vegan for quite a number of years, I knew that I wanted to continue being vegan through my pregnancy. I knew it was the healthiest option for me. And I knew since I was getting, a better lifestyle and better form of nutrition out of it, that my baby would as well. Where is I going to go with that?
If you're not deficient, then good chance your baby's not going to be either.
Yeah.
And this applies to breastfeeding as well, not just pregnancy, but if you're breastfeeding, it also applies there.
Yeah, and I found when I was breastfeeding that, oh, you know what, this is another video I'm going to make, because my second pregnancy were vegan, my third pregnancy was raw vegan, and I'm going to make a whole other video on this topic, because that took my nutrition to the next level, and it was an amazing pregnancy and amazing birth, so I will talk about that in another video. But yeah, breastfeeding went super well. I had the most healthiest babies. I had really ginormous healthy babies. Blame it on him. And I found that through my pregnancies, when I did indulge, when I did give in, because you know what, everyone slips up, we have to have grace for ourselves, that my health would just decline. I felt so horrible every time I just went backwards. So during my first pregnancy, with emotions, with hormones, you find it really hard. And through changing, your diet and lifestyle, people do slip up, they do indulge. And I had a very unhealthy vegan diet throughout my first pregnancy, and I would say my second as well. And then it got a lot better from there. But with my first pregnancy, I was quite overweight for my size and being pregnant, and it carried on past pregnancy as well. I had a lot of weight. I was very unhealthy. So people that think that going vegan is, the pinnacle of health, like you're going to be super healthy, it's the, the best diet, it can be if you do it properly, just like any diet. You can live off Oreos and, vegan ice cream being vegan. There's so many vegan options out there that are not healthy. People don't understand. Like, vegan is not just fruit and veggies. Vegan can be breads and pastas and carbs and junk food. There's so much junk food that's vegan, and people just don't realize it. So you have to be careful in that area too. If you want to be healthy in any diet, you have to look at what you're eating and the nutrition value of it.
Okay, so another point is that there are bad examples of everything. So somebody out there might know, one of you might know a vegan who's overweight and unhealthy and all this and this and this and deficient. It's like there are bad examples of everything. That doesn't discount veganism, because the vast majority of vegans are actually in a very good state of health, and they love life, they feel better than they've ever felt, and they're doing something beneficial for the environment, for animals, and so on. So again, don't judge a movement by one person. You have to look at the whole thing. So learn from the good ones. Look at the people who are successful. That's something you should always do with anything in life. Look at the people who are successful and try to emulate them. Learn what they did properly, learn how they ate, learn how they lived, etc., etc. And don't just focus on the odd bad example. Just find the people who are thriving in the best state of health. Look for people who have been doing this for years, not just months, but for people who have been doing it for 10 years, 20, 30 years. There are some people who have been vegan and they're in their 50s, 60s, 70s. There's even one lady in her 80s now. And these are great examples of people to look at and look at how they did it, because obviously it worked very well for them.
It's surprisingly easy.
Yeah, it is easy. It's very easy to be vegan. I mean,
because a lot of people, think what do you eat? Like, that's a big question, right?
Yeah.
What do you eat? Do you live off air? Because so much of people's food is animal products, right? I think a lot of people don't realize that the majority of the food they're eating is vegan. Like a lot of people don't just sit down and eat like a chunk of meat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right?
I think one thing that makes it easy for people to transition is keeping the meals you already eat, but swapping out the meat or the eggs or the dairy for a vegan alternative.
Or just take it out altogether, because people eating a rice dish with chicken. Just take the chicken out and add a veggie instead, or just eat the rice. Like,
you find a lot of ethnic foods. If you look at Italian or Japanese, Asian, Indian, a lot of those foods are great and they're easily made vegan. You just don't put the meat in it. Or you could swap out the meat for beans or something along those lines. And that's something I think you should be doing when you're initially transitioning. Start swapping out meat for tofu or beans or this or that. A lot of processed foods make it easy to transition, but I recommend as much whole foods as you can. So if processed foods help you transition, okay, but don't stick with them permanently. Keep that in mind, that they're a temporary thing to help you get from one side of the fence to the other. And once it gets easy, then swap them out for real whole foods and continue getting healthier.
What are some other questions that you think people ask, like being vegan or being vegan when pregnant? Don't you miss
meat? Don't you miss dairy? Personally, no.
Me, on the other hand, I had a really hard time with dairy. Dairy. Well, cheese specifically.
They're very addictive. There's a lot of addictive substances.
Yeah. Once I got through that, it was gone. I have no craving for dairy whatsoever anymore. And that was such a big addiction for me. It was like a drug addict. You can attest to that. It was really, really bad. Like, it took a toll on my family because of it. So yeah, it has crazy addictive qualities, but once your body gets through that, if you're used to eating that in your entire life, since you're a baby, for goodness sakes, our parents are feeding us that stuff. That's what our bodies are used to. Yeah,
I think something to bear in mind, a good principle in life, is addictions are never good. Nothing that you get addicted to is going to be good for you. Addictive relationships aren't good for people. Addictive substances, drinks, like cigarettes, whatever, none of that stuff is good for you. And likewise, I believe that any food that you get addicted to isn't good for you. People get addicted to sugar. That's not good for you. Unfortunately, sugar is vegan. But I mean, like, you can just live without adding sugar to your foods. Dairy, things like that your body gets physically addicted
grains.
To. Overdoing grains.
Caffeine.
Yeah. The stuff,
vegan
it always,
stuff
you see when people do too much of it, you see the effect on their health and their body. So, I'd recommend cutting anything that you're addicted to. Addictions are never good.
And addiction is different than, healthy cravings and desires for healthy food. We don't even need to explain the difference between that. You know when
you got to learn how to listen to your body.
Yeah.
Because people can say, "Oh, I have a craving for this," and it's really just an addiction kicking in. I think like a true craving is when your body says, "I need this nutrient. I need this vitamin, this mineral, whatever." And your body recognizes foods that you consume that have those things in it. Now, if the only sources of calcium you've ever gotten in your life are dairy, and you have a calcium deficiency, your body's going to give you a craving for dairy because that's all it knows. You haven't trained it properly. If your body's used to getting calcium from plants, from leafy greens and so on, your body's going to say, "Hey, give me more salad, give me more kale, give me whatever," and you're going to get a craving for that. There's a difference between an emotional craving, where you're giving into your emotions because you're stressed or because of an addiction, or there's a mental craving where you think that you need to be eating more of this or this and this, but your body actually doesn't need it. And then there's truly listening to your body, and that takes a bit of time to develop discernment. But when you develop that, you can say, "You know what, my body feels like I need more sodium in my diet." I've had that before, and you get used to feeling I need this, I need that. Like I've been neglecting this group of foods or this, and you listen to your body, and over time you'll learn how to get better discernment in that.
For me, big ones were like sugar, getting off of, being addicted to sugars, refined sugars. And I found when I had a craving for sugar, it was super hard to do, but replace it with natural healthy sugars, like fruit sugars, right? And in the beginning, it's not what you want, like, and also it doesn't feel like you're satisfying the craving. But once I filled myself up on, healthy sugars, the craving was gone, completely gone. And that was really what my body needed, but my brain... I needed to have that understanding and that connection. And now it does. Now I don't crave those unhealthy sugars. I desire and have healthy cravings for the healthy sugars. And same with caffeine. People have that issue with, like, caffeine a lot, right? They have that addiction they need that energy, and they just need to redirect themselves into healthy sources of that. And then once you do, your body brain clicks together, and yeah, you just have to retrain yourself and retrain your body. And what are some other questions people have? Protein, you kind of talked about protein.
Protein's in everything. I don't want to die.
Protein.
You get exhausted talking about that. It's like one of the first things people don't even know where they're getting their own protein from. They don't even know how much they consume in a day, and they're telling you that you're not getting enough. And so I find that funny. There's protein in literally everything. I'm not saying that you should only live off of blueberries or anything, but I'm saying like there are trace amounts in just about everything. Some foods are higher than others.
Watermelon has so much protein in it.
If you eat a whole watermelon, you're getting a good
so
chunk.
Much protein.
Like the most protein-dense substances on foods on Earth are chlorella and spirulina, and they're both plant-based from water, from the oceans.
And the biggest thing that convinced me and helped me was thinking about like think of the largest, strongest mammals on Earth.
Yeah.
Where do they get their protein from?
Yeah.
From plants.
Well, they're different than us. How? I mean, like, yeah, they look different, but I mean, like, their body requires the same kinds of things that ours do, to different degrees, but they're able to get it on plants. And to me, there's tons of vegan athletes, fitness models, powerlifters, bodybuilders, and to me, that's proof that you can do it. Some of these guys use protein supplements, but guess what? Almost everyone in the gym uses a protein supplement, whether they're eating meat or not. So that doesn't make or break it. And if anything, that just proves that vegan protein does work. So it's all the exact same amino acids. You're just getting them from plant-based sources instead of from animal products. And some of those guys don't use any. They just really rely on whole foods altogether, and they do it as clean as possible, and they still achieve the same level that a meat eater does in terms of their fitness. So, just eat a balanced whole food diet. If you really want to, you can take protein supplements, vegan protein supplements, but if you're getting a balanced diet, you should be okay. I would recommend sites like chronometer.com. It's CRONO meter.com. Some resources like that, apps like that, you put the food that you eat in a day in and the quantity of what you've eaten of each of those foods, and it gives you an idea. Some of them, it's a little bit off. It depends on who submitted the information for the food, but if you put in whole foods, for example, they're generally spot on. They get national government statistics for those things, and you can get an idea of how much you're eating, and for vitamins, minerals, proteins, fats, everything.
We use that a lot for our kids too.
Yeah, it's a great way, because it's easy to think that you're getting enough of something when you're not, or that you're not getting enough of something when you are. So one of the best ways to do it is to actually keep track, and also be aware of the signs of deficiency so that you can see if you're developing it in yourself or your kids. But generally speaking, you'd have to completely neglect something for a long time before a deficiency ever developed. And sites like that, websites, apps like that, they really help you to make sure that you're getting all your bases covered. I need to eat a bit more of this, or I'm overdoing it in the sugars or whatever. It's good. Yeah,
and again, like after going vegan, I had no more deficiencies. Like they were just gone. And you will find a lot of stories the exact same, right? Yeah. Sickness is gone. Like gosh, the stuff that like I had cured, I mean, praise be to God, the stuff I had cured going vegan was crazy. And that's going to be in another video, because going vegan dramatically changed my health. Going raw vegan was
it's a whole other world.
And doing that pregnant, that it can be not scary, but in the beginning intimidating, because that's a big thing. But again, if you are watching the right people, following the right people, and learning and watching their testimonies, that's encouragement enough. It's not hard. So many people do it. And you feel and you will see the difference. I mean, the people that are dumb and that they don't do things properly, but again, that's like with any diet. But I think in the majority of meat eaters and the majority of people that eat animal products, and how sick and deficient they are compared to the few handful of vegans that don't do things properly. And
well, I think what you can also see is some omnivorous people who keto or whatever, they'll eat meat, but they're extremely healthy compared to the average Westerner. But you look at, what is that person's diet consisting of? And a lot of the times they're eating tons of leafy greens, tons of vegetables, and so on. So it's like what they're seeing compared to the average Westerner is they've swapped out a lot of the processed foods, a lot of the dairy and animal products for more produce, and they've gotten healthier. So why not keep taking that further and further? Why do you just stop there and still keep some of the meat? You look at some of the longest lived ethnic cultures around the world throughout history have been high carb, almost entirely vegan, if not vegan. And in modern Western society, the longest lived demographic are the vegan Seventh-day Adventists. They live about 10 years longer on average, and that number includes those who eat junk foods. So, I mean, like, you could probably live even longer than that, statistically speaking, if you did it properly on lots of whole foods and yeah, vegan.
So just finding those foods in your diet that you need to start cutting out and replacing things.
Generally, it's processed foods. Start with that. Yeah, you always get healthier when you swap processed foods for whole foods.
We talked a lot in this video, like I think a lot more than I expected.
Yeah.
We might have to make a whole separate video specifically about kids and babies. Well, I don't even know what I would say in that video because there's nothing to really explain other than
you feed your kids the same foods you eat, but be aware that kids tend to be a little more picky and they tend to prefer sweet things and whatnot. So they're not going to sit down and eat a salad with you unless you've been blessed with a miracle child. So sometimes when it comes to stuff like that, you'll have to sneak their greens in smoothies or get them taking a kid's multivitamin. There are vegan kids multivitamins out there that are good. And yeah, just keep them on as much whole foods as they can. If you don't introduce junk food, it's a lot easier to keep it out, and you should be okay.
Our kids are thriving.
Yeah.
Thriving, like the healthiest kids you'll ever see. And we're on number 4, working on number 4 right now, and this pregnancy's been great so far. We're working on getting it a bit healthier again, like my last pregnancy.
There's always room for improvement.
Yeah.
It's like that with everything.
But yeah, I think the goal of this video was just to cover, certain questions, misconceptions that people have, so that if they're curious to either go vegan or to go through a vegan pregnancy, that they'd feel a little bit more secure, that they'd have different answers, different questions answered that they may have had. And if you guys are pregnant and looking to go through something like this, it's nice to have examples. So I've been through this 4 times and had the healthiest babies, the healthiest births, the healthiest pregnancies, and I have the healthiest children. It's great to see other families and other moms who have gone through this, just to have that example. But also, if you guys have any questions you want to ask about anything specific, this guy is like my in-home nutritionist, so he'll probably be in the video with me. But yeah, any questions you have about veganism, about raw veganism, any videos you want me to make to answer any of your questions, any videos about raising vegan kids, or even grain-free, because we are also a gluten-free family. We'll do another video on that next time, because we do that for health, but we do it for allergy purposes too. We cannot have wheat in the house whatsoever. Yeah, that's him.
I can die.
Yeah.
I don't want to die.
No. But you know what? In the long run, it has made our entire family a lot healthier because of that too. So yeah, again, if you enjoyed this video, please like it, please subscribe, and then you can keep up to date with any more videos that we make. And any questions you have, go ahead and comment below. If you are vegan, or if you have gone through a vegan pregnancy, you have any tips or tricks, or even for raising vegan kids and having a vegan family, comment below as well, because we'd all love to hear more stories and have more encouragement.
Yeah. It's always cool seeing someone else who does what you do and they're successful as well, because that's just confirmation to you and to everyone else that it works. So yeah.
So it's experiencing the health benefits and, that you're thriving through it, that keeps the ball rolling, and that continues to encourage you and inspire you. Just seeing it hands-on, the proof is in the pudding with anything in life.
Yeah, it's like when people say, well, you're going to develop this and this and this, and then you don't, and you're like, really? It worked for me, so yeah, it builds your confidence. And you need to experiment things too. Don't just take our word for it. Don't take anybody on YouTube or internet's word for it. You need to experience it for yourself, because then you'll know firsthand if it works or not. Just make sure you do your research and do it properly. And yeah.
That's it.
Cool.
Thanks for watching.